That's why Paul really brings this up. He just goes right to it. That this is the thing that you're doing so well. This is the thing that will bring you down, tear up that church. All right. So in verse number, let's see, these things go beyond instructions and suggestions. In verse 2 and verse 2, you see that these things, they go beyond just instructions, suggestions. These things are commandments. This is the will of God. Right. So if you go against this, if you go against these teachings, then you are not going against Brother Herb. You're not going against this book right here. You are going against God, the will of God, and your relationship with God. Okay? So that's important to know that this is the will of God. And it says in verse 3, for what is the will of God? It is to be sanctified, to step away from the world and not be like the world and fall into some of the things that the world does. It's not just sexual immorality, but it's the way you talk, the way you walk, the way you present yourself to other people. Okay? That is the will of God, is to be sanctified. And Paul goes further and clearly defines sanctification. It is, he says, sanctification is to abstain from sexual immorality. My question is, what does sexual immorality look like today? What did it look like back then? We talk about in Galatians 5:19, he defines and shows what sexual immorality is. And he goes further and says the light, anything like. I'm not going to go through those scriptures, but also in 1 Corinthians 6, verses 9 through 11, it talks about, it defines what sexual immorality are, what it was then and what it is now. Even kids know what sexual immorality looks like, because it's affected so many of their families. That's why they don't have mom and dad together in the house right now, is because of sexual immorality. And even the kids know what it looks like and what it is. Okay, so just keep that in mind of what sexual immorality is. So since we know what it is, we also need to know how to abstain from sexual immorality. Okay, now I told my children that the simple way is to run. There's nothing wrong with running. Okay, from a fight that you know you can win. Okay, or even if you can win, when you see that issue coming up, or whether you think you can control it or not, sometimes it's just best to run, get up, walk away, get away, run away from sin. Okay, just get up and run. You might look foolish, but guess what? That's what. Who was that? Who was that? Was it Daniel? Was it Daniel? Yeah, Joseph. That's it. He got up and ran away. We got to learn how to use the Bible and other people's mistakes and victories as examples in our own life. Get up and run away. So that's one way to do it. But sometimes we have to stay, pray. Sometimes we have to fast and pray. We have to put on our adult pants, our Christian pants, and do the right thing in the face of doing the wrong thing. It's so easy to do the wrong thing. Sometimes it's just a matter of standing on faith and doing the right thing for our soul salvation's sake. All right, and that's a good conversation is to have practicals. What is sexual immorality? What does it look like? And how do we stay away from it? That's a whole other class. That's something we really need to think about, because each one of us has something that will make us weak in that area. You need to visualize it in your mind, know it, admit to it, and then begin to figure out, okay, when this comes up at work, when I see brother so-and-so in that tight suit at church, or sister such and such, in those high heel shoes, this is what I'm going to do. All right, so sisters, y'all might see some brothers. Maybe y'all will see some brothers running away from you. You know why? All right, brothers, the same goes for you. But that shouldn't be a problem. And that, but Paul says it can be a problem. You can't act like these things will not happen. They've already happened. They've happened at any church you can find. It has happened there. So, I know names, I know dates, you know, but it has happened. So let's not be naive or lie to ourselves about it. All right? That's why Paul brings it up. All right. So with that, I just want to keep in mind, I want us to keep in mind that Christians seem to operate on the idea that sin is easily dismissed. You know, you think something, you say something, you do something, and that's wrong, that's sinful. And I can get up and pray and fill out a white card. Now, and it's forgiving as God is. You have to remember that we are still responsible. We are still asked about these things that we do, that we say. And so we have to keep that in mind. And there are always consequences and results of what you do, especially sexual immorality. It just kind of pops up out from anywhere after 6 months, after 9 months. So it'll pop its head out. So the scripture is teaching us that everyone needs to focus on improving themselves in their relationship and not focus on the relationships with problems. And especially bringing other people into these, our personal relationship with sexual immorality. And so it's very important for us as Christians. It's very important to us as a church and as a congregation. Because if one of us falls and slips, then it could hurt and harm and cause problems for the entire congregation. Okay? So that is our lesson for this morning. I appreciate you all. It is a lesson that really, I wish we had more time to get into and just really talk to each other about. Okay, because we can learn a lot from it. That's like we can from the Bible. So with that, in the lesson, I'm going to ask Brother Lewis Beard to lead us in prayer.
Let us pray. Lord, once again, we thank you for this day and thank you for all the blessings you bestowed on us. Lord, say a special prayer for those that don't wake up together with thanksgiving and safe travel. And Lord, as we go into our service, let our minds be clear and think only of you at this time. We ask this all in your son Jesus' name. Amen.
Real quick, everyone. So, good morning, first and foremost. Today will be the first time that we actually go live during morning worship. So, if y'all can do y'all best to turn y'all phones off, because this is going to be live like YouTube. Okay, so if you have a phone that goes off, then they're going to be able to hear it instantly, as we are hearing it as well. So, keep that in mind. And then, if y'all can move around, but in front of the camera. You know, like I say, everything in here, everything they see from this camera on, the world's gonna see. So I ask to be on y'all's best behavior.
Yeah, you could just pause right now. Yeah, good.